There are nights in tennis that feel bigger than a match. Nights when the stadium lights, the pressure, the noise, and the moment all collide into something unforgettable. Turin just witnessed one of those nights, a night where Carlos Alcaraz sealed not just a victory, but an entire season of dominance. A night where he officially closed the year as world number one, ending months of tension, mathematical battles, and headline-grabbing rivalries with Jannik Sinner. As the match ball dropped onto Lorenzo Mussetti's side of the court, Alcaraz lifted his arms toward the sky of the ATP Tour, using the kind of gesture we've only seen from players who understand that history has just shifted under their feet. His team, normally stoic, couldn't hold back the emotion. They knew what this moment meant. They knew the war it took to arrive here. Because this wasn't just another win. It was the win, the one that guaranteed that no result from Jannik Sinner could change the final standings. Not even if the Italian won the tournament, not even sweeping every match. It was over. The throne belonged to Alcaraz. And just like that, the ATP season had a king again. But rewind a few hours, and the story had a very different tone. Alcaraz entered the arena with the weight of 2 full seasons on his shoulders. 8 titles, 2 Grand Slams, over 11,000 ranking points, and a rivalry that had become the heartbeat of modern tennis. He knew that by defeating Mussetti he wouldn't just reach the semi-finals, he would mathematically close the door on Sinner's hope to finish as number one. And from the first point you could see it. Alcaraz was nervous. He admitted it himself right after the match. He played with tension, with tightness, with the fear of letting everything slip away after being inches from sealing the best season of his life. He wasn't free. He wasn't relaxed. He wasn't the smiling assassin we usually see. He was a warrior battling himself as much as he was battling Mussetti. But champions do what champions must. They find a way. Even with nerves, he took the first set 6-4. Then he elevated. Then he crushed. The second set? 6-1. And suddenly the entire tennis world realized it. Carlos Alcaraz was closing his year as world number one for the second time in his life, after first achieving it at just 19 years old in 2022. And this time, the road was even harder. He had to face a fully mature Sinner. He had to overcome Djokovic's late-season charge. He had to win match after match in do-or-die situations. He also had to do something only the greats do. Get better under pressure instead of collapsing from it. From the middle of the season onward, Alcaraz unleashed tennis of a level we haven't seen since young Nadal. Physical, explosive, instinctive, and mentally unbreakable. He strung together trophies, deep runs, and statement victories until suddenly the impossible goal, overtaking Sinner, became reachable. Then became realistic. Then became inevitable. From the middle of the year, I started playing great tennis, he said. A lot of tournaments in a row, a lot of trophies. And since that moment, the number one became my main goal. But if the season can be summarized in one phrase, it's this. Every time Sinner struck, Alcaraz struck harder. The rivalry did exactly what tennis rivalries are supposed to do. It elevated both players. It made every ranking point feel like oxygen, every tournament a battlefield, every match a chapter in a story that defines the sport. Tonight's win gives Alcaraz 11,650 points. Even in the best-case scenario, Sinner can only reach 11,500. The crown is decided. The season belongs to Carlos. And the road to 2026 begins with a message to the world. The king is ready for more. When the match began in Turin, the pressure was already enormous. But what few fans realized is that Carlos Alcaraz started the night with something heavier than physical fatigue. He stepped onto the court with the awareness that one single match would define the fight for the year-end world number one. Not a final. Not a Grand Slam. A group stage match. A match where every forehand, every return, every mistake carried the weight of an entire season. And he admitted it openly. I played with a lot of nerves. You could see it early on. His footwork wasn't flowing. His shoulders were slightly tight. His drop shots landed slower than usual. His first serve percentages fluctuated. Everything about the opening games suggested an internal battle. And why wouldn't they? For the first time in months, the number one wasn't a dream, or a target, or a possibility. It was here. It was now. One win away. But champions are built on moments like this. From 2-2 in the first set, something shifted. Alcaraz didn't calm down, no. He focused. There's a difference. He tightened the points. He extended the rallies. He began to push Musetti backward until the Italian was forced into defensive patterns that never work against Carlos. Suddenly the court looked bigger. Suddenly the angles appeared. Suddenly the match started bending in his direction. And by the time he broke for 4-3, the writing was already on the wall. Musetti fought with heart. The crowd roared behind him every time he touched the ball. But the Spaniard had entered that rare competitive mode he only shows at Grand Slams or when history is on the line. He closed the set 6-4. But the real transformation came afterward. Once the first set was secured, Alcaraz's entire energy changed. His shoulders dropped. His forehand loosened. His net approaches became sharper. His reactions quicker. His eyes clearer. The version of Alcaraz we saw in the second set? That was the real Alcaraz. The one who destroys players. The one who breaks opponents mentally. The one who becomes unplayable for 20 minutes straight. He won the second set 6-1 with ruthless efficiency, dominating the baseline, finishing points at the net, forcing Musetti into rush decisions, and using his trademark mix of elegance and brutality. And that was it. The world knew. The number one was his. Not because Musetti wasn't good enough, but because Alcaraz had leveled up again. This has been the story of his 2025 season. Moments of pressure forcing him into new versions of himself. But let's be clear, this wasn't just a sporting achievement. Finishing the year as world number one comes with a massive financial prize. A $1 million ATP bonus for topping the season rankings. And that comes on top of the millions he already earned this year by winning Roland Garros, the US Open, Rome, Cincinnati, and multiple hard-fought titles across the calendar. Still, money is not what drives him. What drives him is something deeper. Legacy. Because make no mistake, Alcaraz is chasing the table of the greats. His ambitions are not small. His coach Ferrero knows it, his team knows it, and the tennis world knows it. The comparisons to Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic are no longer projections. They are milestones he is already approaching. That's why this number one matters so much. It isn't just a ranking. It is a message. To Sinner, you pushed me, but I pushed harder. To Djokovic, your era shaped me, now I shape mine. To the tennis world, this rivalry will define the next decade. And speaking of the rivalry, in the press room, Carlos couldn't help joking about it. His relationship with Sinner is one of the healthiest and most balanced rivalries tennis has ever seen. His iconic line, "I see him more than I see my mother." It perfectly illustrates how intertwined their careers already are. Mutual respect on the court, genuine friendship off it. They compete like warriors, shake hands like brothers, then joke about golf, skiing, karting, hair, and everything else in the world. Alcaraz has now taken 2 of the 3 wins required to seal the top ranking, and with one group match left, he controls his destiny completely. The semi-finals await. Sinner is watching. Turin is roaring. And the world number one crown is officially in Carlos's hands. Carlos Alcaraz's excellence is not just the sum of his physical talent. It comes from something deeper, a mental architecture carefully built over the years, polished through victories, losses, pressure, expectation, and growth. As Turin braces for the semi-finals, the world sees a 22-year-old at the top of tennis. But few understand how he got there. And in his own words, the key is simple. I am a very positive person. But the truth behind that sentence is much more complex. Because positivity is not a personality trait. It is a discipline, a daily choice, a mental muscle. White medium star the mind behind the tennis. How Alcaraz deals with pressure. In his interview ahead of the crucial match against Musetti, Alcaraz was unusually open about the psychological side of his success. He admitted that pressure affects him, that nerves affect him, that expectations affect him, but he has learned how to live with all of it. He has learned that pressure doesn't disappear. You simply learn to carry it. Whether it's the weight of being world number one, the spotlight on his rivalry with Sinner, the comparisons with the legends, or the constant demand to win, Alcaraz handles it with a mix of emotional intelligence and competitive fire rarely seen at his age. He approaches matches with 2 principles. Control only what depends on him. Not the crowd. Not the rankings. Not the media. Not the noise. Give everything on every point. No excuses. No shortcuts. No self-doubt during the battle. This mindset has been drilled into him by experience, but also by the environment around him, a key element he highlighted. White medium star, the secret support system behind his rise. Fame, money, and trophies haven't changed one fundamental thing. At home, Carlos is still Carlos. He still follows the same routines. He still sleeps in the same room. He still gets the same family discipline. He still feels like the boy from El Palmar. This emotional stability is priceless. Keeps him grounded. Keeps him hungry. It keeps him human in a sport that often isolates champions. His relationship with Juan Carlos Ferrero has also matured dramatically. Both admit they've learned to communicate better. Fewer arguments, more understanding. Ferrero pushes him, challenges him, and forces him to confront uncomfortable truths. But he also knows when to step back and let Carlos breathe. This balance has turned their partnership into one of the most effective in modern tennis. White medium star sporting ambition. The table of the greats. Alcaraz has never hidden it. He wants to surpass the legends. Not out of arrogance. Not out of ego. But because he believes he can, and because the sport demands a new leader. Federer's elegance. Nadal's intensity. Djokovic's precision. Alcaraz blends elements of all three, and adds his own unpredictable creativity on top. With 6 Grand Slam titles already, he knows the road ahead is long. But he also knows something else. The rivals around him, especially Sinner, will force him to reach his limit. And he welcomes that challenge. White medium star, the rivalry with Sinner. A bond that defines an era. The Alcaraz-Sinner rivalry is already the most important dynamic in modern tennis. They have won all 4 Grand Slams this season. They have split titles. They have split finals. They have split dominance across different surfaces. But the rivalry goes far beyond statistics. When they are together, the energy is different. They laugh like brothers. They joke like teammates. They push each other like rivals. They respect each other like legends. Alcaraz's joking line, "I see him more than my mother," wasn't just a joke. It was the purest illustration of the bond they share. They warm up together. They talk in locker rooms. They share personal stories. They compete in golf, karting, skiing, jokingly arguing which of them is worse in each. And still, when they step on the court, they try to destroy each other. That is true rivalry. Professional fire. Personal friendship. Mutual motivation. It is the perfect balance tennis has been waiting for since the Big Three era. White medium star looking forward. Turin, #1, and the next era. With a year-end #1 secured, and with 8 titles in the season, Alcaraz enters the semi-finals with a mixture of freedom and momentum. But he is not satisfied. He never is. He wants the trophy. He wants dominance. He wants to prove that this year wasn't a coincidence. It was the beginning of his era. His mindset is set. His confidence is high. His rivalry with Sinner is shaping him. His legacy is under construction. The world of tennis expected a successor. Carlos Alcaraz is giving them a king.